What's up, YouTube? This is 2 Raw 4 TV. Alright, so this is a continuation of my top 10 ABA players of all time list. Just to do a brief recap, at number 10, I had Louis Dampier. At number 9, I had Jimmy Jones. At number 8 on my all-time list, I had the Roger Brown. At number 7, I had the Horse, Dan Essel. And at number 6, I had the Hawk, Connie Hawkins. So number 5, I have George Mcginnis. Alright? I did a video talking about George Mcginnis a few months ago as a player, and how he's not as well known in today's world. George Mcginnis was sort of like the LeBron James of his era. He was 6'8", 235 pounds, primarily played the power forward position, could play the small forward position, and at times could even play the center position. But primarily he was a power forward. Extraordinarily strong. Looked like a power lifter. Didn't have, in his prime, didn't have an ounce of fat on him. And, but was not a weightlifter, but he just was genetically blessed in that, that he just had that powerfully built frame. And he was a great rebounder. He could score on the inside. He had a decent jump shot, but his game was predicated more on power and speed. And in that way, he kind of reminds you of what LeBron may have been had he played in that era. Although, I think George Mcginnis had a lot more heart, but that's just me, you know what I'm saying? But George Mcginnis flamed out relatively young, though. Like, injuries, really took a toll on him, so much so that by the late 1970s, he was already fading as a basketball player. By 1980, he was already fading. But he was only 27, 28 years old. So, injuries did take a toll on him. But anyway, in his prime, in his ABA years, in his first couple of years with the Sixers, he was a force to be reckoned with. He was born in 1950 in Indianapolis, Indiana. He attended Washington High School. He and his teammate Steve Downing led Washington to a 31-0 record and a state championship in 1969. Mcginnis set an Indiana State tournament scoring record with 148 points in his final 4 games. He was also named Mr. Basketball for the state of Indiana that year. In the 1970-71 season in Indiana, Mcginnis became the first sophomore to lead the Big Ten in scoring and rebounding. He averaged 29.9 points per game in his lone season in Bloomington, earning All-American and All Big Ten honors in 1971. He played for Coach Lou Watson the year before the University of Indiana hired Bobby Knight. Mcginnis immediately became one of the marquee players of the NBA, playing a key role on the Indiana Pacers championship teams in each of their first 2 seasons with his hometown franchise. He was named the ABA Playoffs MVP in 1973, averaging 23.9 points and 12.3 rebounds in 18 playoff games to help the Pacers repeat as champs. His best season came in 1974-75, when Mcginnis scored a career-high 29.8 points per game en route to ABA MVP honors. He nearly averaged a triple-double in the playoffs that year, 32.3 points, 15.9 rebounds, and 8.2 assists in 18 games. LeBron James. But the Pacers fell short of the title, losing to Kentucky in the ABA Finals. 2 years into his professional career, Mcginnis was selected by the Philadelphia 76ers as the 22nd overall pick in the second round of 1973 NBA draft. In October of 1974, the Sixers were ready to send Mcginnis' draft rights to the New York Knicks with the stipulation that the later ball club sign him before the agreed-upon deadline. The deal fell through, though, when he decided to stay with the Pacers and signed a 2-year contract with an $85,000 buyout clause, which was exercised following the 74-75 season. Preferring to play in New York because of its financial and endorsement opportunities, Mcginnis sought a preliminary injunction and restraining order against the NBA on May 23, 1975, that would have permitted him to negotiate with any of the league's, at the time, 18 teams. The lawsuit was dropped a week later, on May 30th, when he signed a 6-year, $2.4 million contract with the Knicks in a challenge to the league's constitution. In his first act as new NBA commissioner on June 5th, Larry O'Brien disapproved the contract and ordered the Knicks to forfeit his first selection in the 1976 NBA draft and reimburse the Sixers for all expenses relevant to the dispute. Mcginnis signed a 6-year, $3.2 million guaranteed, no cut, no trade, no option contract with the Sixers 5 weeks later on July 10th, 1975. But in this video, I'm not going to talk too much about his NBA career. I want to focus on his ABA career. Now, he did not have a long ABA career. And usually I reward longevity. But then again, the ABA only lasted 9 seasons. But when he did play in the ABA, he was one of the all-time great ABA players. And this is his ABA resume. 2-time ABA champion, ABA playoffs MVP, the ABA MVP in 1975, 3-time ABA All-Star, 2-time All-ABA first team, All-ABA second team, the ABA All-Rookie first team, ABA scoring champion in 1975, and he's on the ABA all-time team. His number 30 is retired by the Indiana Pacers. And when you look at his ABA numbers, well, first of all, let's look at his total numbers. Altogether, when you combine his ABA and NBA career, he scored just over 17,000 points, dished out just over 3,000 assists, and corralled 9,233 rebounds in 842 games played. When you look at this ABA career in 7 seasons, he averaged in the ABA 19.6 points per game, 10.7 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 1.8 steals, on 46% shooting from the floor, 28% from downtown, and 65% from the charity stripe. And as a matter of fact, between 1972 and 1975, when he was at his most dominant in the ABA, and I'm trying to pull these numbers up and it won't pop up because I'm recording, so it's trying to fuck with me right now. But anyway, during this time period, before I'm about to wait till these numbers pop up, during this time period, George Mcginnis averaged no fewer than 25.9 points per game and no fewer than 12.5 rebounds per game during this tenure. Here we go now. During this 3-year period of time, George Mcginnis averaged 27.7 points, 13.9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2.2 steals on 47% shooting from the floor, 31% from downtown, and 69% from the charity stripe. In the playoffs in the ABA, he won a championship his first 2 years with the Pacers. But his most dominant campaign came in 74-75 when he just was sick. Just at the absolute peak of his powers in the ABA. 32.3 points, 15.9 rebounds, and 8.2 assists. But even his first year in the NBA, which preceded the arrival of Julius Erving, his first year in the playoffs, it was a 3-year series the Sixers had, but in that year he averaged 23 points per game, 13.7 rebounds, and 4 assists. And in the NBA, he and Dr. J were not a good fit on the basketball court. They weren't really a good fit, largely because they had similar roles on their respective teams when they were the man. And ultimately, that kind of hurt the chemistry of the team. George Mcginnis is the one that deferred more, but they were never really a good fit for one another. And ultimately, that is why George Mcginnis was eventually, I think, traded to the Denver Nuggets. But anyway, just wanted to show some love to one of the great ABA players in the history of that league, George Mcginnis. Tell me what you guys think.